can done before the sun rises here. Keep everybody informed. Of course, this is the infrared satellite loop showing the higher, colder cloud tops out here in the Atlantic, Caribbean, Gulf of Mexico. Um, anyway, let's get started here. Of course, the big talk of the town, so to speak, is Erin, which is currently out here in the open Atlantic. And then we have potential for maybe the system. Let's go back. Have this disturbance up here, 10% chance of development. We got Erin moving west at 20 knots. Minimal tropical storm at this point, fish storm. And you have this new advisory as of 2 a.m. for this disturbance near the Yucatan Peninsula, forecast to move into the Bay of Campeche, possibly developing into something in in this area here. Low chance, but I was watching this off the coast yesterday. I was pretty impressed. Was wondering why they didn't talk about it, and now they are. So although it's convection is kind of weakened, you can see it looks like a circulation there. Can't tell if it's a surface or not. But we'll see what happens after that moves off the Yucatan Peninsula. See if it still has any chance of doing anything. Of course, Erin is the big story, like I said, and it's moving westward in a low level easterlies right now, and will continue to do so for the next few days. It's moving rather quickly. If you remember when it started, it was out here. So, yeah, it's moving pretty quick to the west. So, this is the latest close up infrared satellite loop. The last frame is kind of messed up, but um, the sea surface temps, and we're nearing the end of the diurnal maximum, which is usually overnight, where convection usually flares up in most systems like this. The biggest chance for it to, anyway. It has to do with thermodynamics in the atmosphere, sea surface temp versus temps aloft, a bigger difference between the two, and convection tends to fire more at night than during the day. And this sometimes can lead to rapid intensification of systems. And given Erin's small size, it's going to be prone to, at least right now, pretty significant fluctuations in intensity if it can get coherent again. We'll just have to see what happens. I wanted to show you the water vapor loop as well here. There's a frame missing with it too. Of course, go back. You can see there's a bunch of dry air to its west at all levels, and it's going to be going through that, although it is surrounded by a pocket of pretty good moisture. Not the best, but it's keeping it going for right now, and it's going to continue to struggle for a few days until it gets a little further west. So if we move on to the the Google DeepMind site showing the tracks of the AI models plus the European ensemble in high res. See where Erin is now. And I'll show you what's driving these tracks. a little later in the video. They all want to keep it a tropical storm till it reaches around the Lesser Antilles, north of Lesser Antilles, Greater Antilles, and then become a Category 1, 2, or possibly 3 hurricane as it recurves off into the North Atlantic. That storm off the Yucatan and Bay of Campeche, the European high res wants to make it maybe a depression and move it onshore to Mexico. Maybe bring some moisture into Texas. We'll just have to see. So that being said, we're going to move into the latest European ensemble guidance. It consists of 51 members, and this is August 17th. Pretty tightly clustered where it thinks. Let me zoom out a little bit. North Atlantic. Sorry, guys. There's only one member maybe that kind of scoots towards the Bahamas. The majority of them are east or west and northwest of any landfall. Although it's too close for comfort here along the Lesser Antilles. So any further initial track southward could potentially push this track a little further south. And this far out, there's always a fair amount of spread. You can see the spread to miles is still quite large. But it's getting tighter clustered here, and it's obviously going to develop into at least a Category 1 or 2 hurricane somewhere out here. I think our friends in Bermuda, we're going to have to watch out more than anything, as of right now, anyway. Nobody should keep your guard down in the southeast or in the Greater Antilles or Lesser Antilles either until this storm passes to the north. So if we look at the European model operational run, 6 days from now, next, Tuesday, it'll be north of Lesser Antilles, and that's the way it's been for a while. There's been some shifts back and forth, but that's pretty much it. I could show you the whole track, but we all have a pretty good idea where it's going to go in the short term. Then it gets stronger, it starts recurving to the north, and northwest. This is the American model ensembles. It's in pretty good agreement with the European as well, as August 18th or so. Then, of course, there's a fair amount of spread as we get to the 21st, which is 8 days from now. So this is where the models, tend to diverge more, get a little further out here, a couple of days, and becomes a lot more uncertain about where it's going to go. Unfortunately, we still have some members that want to move it to the west. Those are likely weaker members, which doesn't seem that plausible at this point. But really good agreement in the short term about where it's going to end up. Although, like I said, there's quite a bit of spread at this from overall guidance, even at 4 or 5 days. But it's getting more confident. We think that it's going to go to the north of Lesser Antilles and Greater Antilles. But like I said, be be weather aware. Just keep an eye on it. That's all I can say. So, what does the European operational run say? 965 millibar low. Intensifying some of it as it moves poleward, moving out to sea. Operational run really doesn't have anything developing here in the Caribbean either. I mean, the Caribbean Sea, like Yucatan, or moving into Mexico. I'm not going to focus on this very much today. I just want to keep an eye on it, see if it goes over the Yucatan and what it does after that. If we need to talk about it tomorrow, we will. So, yeah, like yesterday, I'm going to go over the European AI model output here. This looks a little bit different, but you can see this is your 500 millibar, 850 millibar depiction of the vortex, a little bit above the surface. We have the 500 millibar height contours here, depicting high pressure to the east, deep low pressure up to the north, which what happens, the high pressure there weakens. This low pressure is, there's a weakness because this low pressure is to its north, and stronger systems in general, tropical systems follow the upper level flow, right? Whereas weaker systems follow the low level flow. So as it gets stronger, it wants to curve more to the north, partially because of Coriolis force, which is apparent motion based on the spin of um, the Earth, and that's just the way things work. So as it moves to the north here, not to sea. Again, European AI wants to have something come in Florida on the 26th. So just have to keep an eye on that, see if that develops or not. So, Canadian model, same thing. Operational run was to keep that system out to sea, right over Bermuda, though. So I hope that doesn't happen. Icon, another global model, a little further south, which is probably because their high pressure is a little stronger in this model run. Wants to develop into a major, like a Cat 4 or 5 hurricane here off the southeast coast, which seems like a bit of an outlier here. All right, so what's driving this? So we talked about this before. Um, the European AI, we're looking at height, 500 millibar geopotential height anomalies. This is just the heights. Okay, I'm trying to explain this best I can. Sorry. The darker blues are height anomalies that are colder than normal, meaning deeper, low pressure systems than normal, and height contours like in the reds and deeper reds are higher pressures than normal and lower pressures than normal. If that's a better way to look at it. So as you can see where the system is north of the Lesser Antilles, moving northward, there's high pressure anomaly is there's nothing really there, and so there shows a little bit of it. There's a high pressure just not very strong. I'm going to switch to the 500 millibar height charts here. Okay, this may be a little bit better. So, see the high pressure here, low pressure, you got Erin, and the strongest part of the high pressure is off to the subtropical high. It's kind of pushed off to the west east here, and a weakness in it is developed, and the tropical system sees that weakness and moves up towards that lower pressure up there. You can see the subtropical high moves back in underneath it, and another high pressure builds in behind the systems, and then that's what happens. And that's the overall flow pattern that's driving it. You can see you have high. Initially, the high is stronger to its north here, shifts off to the east, likely because of this low pressure up here. Initially, there's a high off to the north temporarily. High weakens, low pressure builds in to the north here, weakness, and it moves through the flow to the north. So that gives a good idea of what's going on there. And that what is driving the track here. I don't really need to show you the GFS. That's just I want to show you overall what's driving the system's motion in the longer term. Again, if you look at humidity levels with this system, the mid-level humidity uh, it's too early this morning, I'll tell you. Anyway, sorry guys. Trying to wake up here. It struggles against some dry air in the short term, and the deeper greens is the more moisture, and it really gets its act together. Kind of wraps up with some dry air on the western flank as it moves, and wraps around as it moves. It gets extra tropical and moves into the North Atlantic. So, what about wind shear over the system? The Hurricane Center noted that wind shear is forecast to increase. This is about today. High pressure building over the system with some wind shear to its north. Likely keep it from developing too much, but there always seems to be a little bit of wind shear around it. But then it has a little high pressure building over it with some, again, some evacuation of mass equatorward, and some favorable trough interaction as well, helping deepen the system as it moves to the north here. You can see a general a tropospheric upper tropospheric trough developing in Erin's Wake there, um, along the southeast coast, all the way up into North Atlantic. So I would say as we get further and later in the period, this year definitely develops. It's not really over the system, but it's nearby, and I think the shear from the south, if the shear is from the same direction, in the same direction the system's moving, it's not, especially if it's a larger system, it's not as likely to weaken as quick. So we'll just have to see what happens here. Either way, the models are forecasting Cat 2 or 3 off here, off the way off the southeast Atlantic coast. Not getting close to land at this point, at least for continental U.S. I can say, in this forecaster's opinion, the chances of it hitting the continental U.S. are quite low. However, we still need to keep an eye on this, and really don't get overexcited about what it could possibly do. Just keep an eye on it and be prepared if the forecast track changes. But the models have been consistent in keeping the system offshore of the continental U.S. And of course, along the Caribbean islands, it's a little less uncertain for sure. So we got to keep an eye on that. Let's see. As far as sea surface temps, we looked at this yesterday. It's starting to move in more favorable sea surface temps, and which leads to a more stable environment because you have more convection, and that the temperature will only increase as it moves further, 29, 30 Celsius, which is getting in the mid to upper 80s, which is a lot of fuel for the system to thrive. Okay, so lastly, I want to show you this website here. This is the Tomer Berg's website. It's really good. It has a lot of good tropical information. Official National Hurricane Forecast. Our 120 has a hurricane going over an island out here. I'm not sure which one that is. Anyway, I don't know if that really is one or not. But major hurricane by hour 96. This is a go over this is a super-ensemble output showing the ensemble means from the four different main models you can get: GFS, CMC, and EPS, which are all global ensembles. Ensemble members are in the thin lines. The mean is the overall average is the dark black. You can see all the little dots. Of all the little dots, there's not many that these are all different ensemble means. Most of them move north of any landmass. Just only a few outliers move to the west. I'm going to show you this too. This is the American model ensemble means. It's just portrayed in a different method than I showed you before in the Tropical Tubets website. It shows the same thing. The darker red dots are stronger members. The less enhanced colors, the greens and yellows, are weaker members. The majority of the members, again, move it north, although a few still want to keep it going west, which I think is an outlier. If we go, yeah, this is the latest run, as far as I know. Yeah. Trying to get the load back. Sorry, guys. This is the model trend of all the global ensembles. See, the trend has been further to the south, indicated by the dark black line here. All the way out to hour 96 or so, and where it stops. So it's still has trended to the south just a little bit, and it's still to the south of the trend has still been to the south, um, overall. So this is just a good idea of what the models have been doing over time since all these runs have began, all the runs. So north of the Lesser Antilles or Greater Antilles at hour 126. This is the model intensity forecast. All models are, except for ECMWF, which I think this is out to lunch here. All although some of the hurricane models will develop it even stronger, which I haven't even looked at yet. I think I'm gonna start referencing the hurricane models starting tomorrow a little bit, show you those to see what they have to say as far as intensity and track goes. But most of these you can see at least a category two, although the GFS and CMC want to develop it later. The CMC really doesn't want to get it. The Canadian doesn't want to get it stronger at all, really. And lastly, this is the rapid intensification probabilities. This is one of the models called the ships that they use to forecast whether or not it's going to rapidly intensify. Max potential intensity, of course, increases as the sea surface temps get closer to 30 Celsius. Humidity increases over time markedly, closer to 70% at hour 144, and then decrease quite a bit. Heat content, of course, is maximized as it moves into warmer sea surface temps and deeper ones. Wind shear increases for a while, then lowers as it gets further on in the period. After our 96, which probably will allow it to increase in intensity some more. So the potential intensity is just driven by thermodynamic factors that show based on how the heat content, things like that. Of course, there's other things that go in the forecast as well. This is just showing the max wind that's being forecast this far out. So anyway, that's it for Erin for today. Like I said, I'm going to keep an eye on the system off the Yucatan Peninsula. I may talk about it more later today, but I hope you find this informative. I know I spent a lot of time talking about different stuff. I'm going to put timestamps in the video so it makes it easier to navigate through it. And I hope you all have a great day and stay safe out there.